think we're okay.
Hi, Marie. Good, how are you?
Yeah.
Good?
Good.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay. Good to see you. All ready, Rob?
Thanks. Yes.
Where are we at?
6:57.
Okay. Good to go. 6:57. Public. 4. Who wants to speak? Or are you all together? Are you all separate? Or
We're basically together, and I guess I'm going to speak.
you're it, man. Hit it.
Well, following up on our visit to you guys at the last meeting, when we sort of talked about the noise and the disruption in the neighborhood, we kind of went back and took a look at the regulations that we saw in place. And I found a copy of some regulations that were revised back on June 11th of 1987. Obviously it was a while ago, and things are different now. There's been some changes in town, but I think they still are a nice way of, to sort of get a handle on the activity up there. And basically, we were coming to the commission tonight to ask them to take a look at these regulations and consider enforcing them. Particularly number 1, where the hours are declared to be sunrise to sunset. Number 11, which talks about parking in designated areas only, without vehicles inside the park or on roads adjacent to the park. Number 12, which talks about radios and cassette players. Obviously things like cassette players are gone now, but the intention here must have been to protect the neighborhood from undue disruption. And number 17, where it basically says that the regulations for group activities, I skipped the use of motorized vehicles, number 16, inside the park. And number 17, which talks about the regulations for group activities falling back to be determined by the Recreation Commission.
Any generators would be included in a noisy thing too.
Yeah, number 12. I mean, it was, I think the intention was to, basically maintain peace in the neighborhood. And I think that, the way that when the boaters came and wanted to get access to the beach, and the regulations were saying that the park closed at dusk, and obviously there was some insurance liability there, and it was a good, useful tool to control the activity there. And we think that by applying these rules, a lot of the difficulties that arose last year could be avoided again this year.
Forgot number 18.
Number 18. Oh, well, yes, I didn't, yeah, exactly, yeah. Infractions of this regulation may result in loss of privileges.
I'll just throw that out. We are aware of these rules, and we did. You are correct. When the boaters came in, that was cited, but you're also correct that the majority of that would have to do with liability for the town. However, that being said, we are aware of these rules. We have cited these before. It's been under discussion for at least a year now, and I will acknowledge to you folks that, again, we are aware of these, and the odds are extremely high that they'll be discussed during this meeting after the public, after you folks cite and state what you want to state. There'll be a thorough discussion on this, among other things as well. So. You've been heard, and we will certainly discuss those.
Yeah, we really feel that it's an opportunity to head off. Things were a little difficult last year, and I think this would restore some balance and some peace for this building.
It's been mentioned endlessly that the park opens at sunrise and closes at sunset.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. Are you folks with the group too?
Yes.
Okay. I can't give you anything other than what I've just told you, because we'll discuss it at our meeting after we go through the normal list of items agenda. But chances are very good, unless something happens throughout where we get stuck on a certain subject, we'll probably discuss it we'll probably discuss it this evening.
I take it you guys have copies of all this?
We do,
Great,
we do.
great.
All right.
Excuse me for just
Anything else?
asking, will there be any way that we can find out the results of your discussion? That's it?
It's all on tape.
Oh,
It'll all be there whenever, and you'll see the minutes of the meeting within 7 days. So you can, as long as we don't get hung up on a number of different items, I'm fairly sure we'll get to that part of the, we'll get to that topic tonight. Okay? Anything else? Feel free. Yeah.
We don't have to.
Thank you, folks.
This is the section.
Minutes. You have them in front of you. It was a kind of an active meeting last month. And I did a pretty good job of summarizing it all. We have enough here to vote on it. Anybody want to?
move to accept as written?
Well, this December ones too.
Hmm?
We have to do the December ones too. They're not due, right?
Oh, we did.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
think we
thought
did.
there was one. Oh,
Yeah, we did.
sorry.
Move to accept. Maureen, second.
Second?
All in favor? Any changes, amendments?
No, I actually read.
Good girl.
Well done.
Okay, Dan, it's all yours.
All right, I'll just move right down the line as the package goes. I just put a draft of the budget that the town went over, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. And as you can see, Recreation is doing its part to help the budget out, coming in at a cool 0%. So we're doing our part.
I think it's when it's less than 1%, I think it shows 0, so you'll be happy to know that we're a little less than 1%.
And as far as the
A lot less than 1%.
as far as the regular budget goes, we're right in line. I don't see any problems to date. All the line items are up to par.
We got 4 months, a little less than 4 months, right?
Yep, for June 30th is the end of the year for us, and I think we're gonna
What's our bottom dollar left in here?
each line item has a percentage that's
Rather
left
than take my
over.
glasses, so I can't. Anybody have any questions on it? What do we have left?
And the program account, right now, we have about 15 grand in there, and we have a couple of things that's spoken for. The ski club, we have about $1,500 left, pay for buses and a year-end party that we always do for the kids.
Next year, it's about 10 more than we usually have, right?
Right. On the correspondence, let's put together a one-pager here of the rec software. And we've been talking about this for a couple of months now. And this software will be able to pretty much, it'll take the place of the brochure, is what it would do. Right now, it's costing us probably close to $7 grand a year to do the brochure, where this rec software would cost yearly somewhere around $3,200, and we'll be able to create a email list, send out email blasts, do flyers, basically put the brochure right online, and we can get it out to everybody. And we'll be able to print out reports a whole lot easier than what we're doing, because right now what we're doing, we're pretty much doing everything manually, and there's a lot of potential to lose information. But a lot of rec departments have gone to this software, and I've called about 7 or 8 departments, and they all swear by it, so it's been pretty good for them. We've met with the IT guy for the town, and He has no problem with it. And I've spoken to Dan, so I think everybody's on board with the software.
We'll get into this a little bit when Dennis is done with his report, but that was submitted as part of our list of capital expenditures that we had submitted, and unfortunately got axed.
Well, this one right here, it didn't exceed the $5,000 mark to be classified as a capital expenditure, so that one got moved off the table. So
Right.
that will have to come out of the program account.
Yeah, I would suggest that we not totally do away with the brochure. You know, you do maybe a quarter of them and leave the town hall, the library, places like that, just in case.
Okay.
So, but certainly there's a significant amount of savings. Good. Keep going.
This is a memo that
Well, let's get back to software. Do you want to? Your suggestion is we do this now, right?
yeah, if you turn on the back, there's some on the back. If you turn to the back, you can kind of see a little breakdown there. You can see what we did in 2011 as far as the brochures, what it cost. I mean, this software can do a lot of things. It can really bring us out of the ice age, which is where we are right now.
Dennis, that printing cost, how many do we mail?
We do 2 now. We did 3, then we shrunk it down to 2.
Right.
So we print about in the summertime we print about 4,000, somewhere like that.
I'm just wondering what we're gonna spend to print that small amount that we wanna leave around town, and is it worthwhile? I mean, is it gonna cost us too much money for, say, 500 flyers instead of 4,000?
Yeah, but see, with the software, we can create our own.
They can print it.
Yeah, we can print our own deal.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Because everything in that brochure now will be transferred right here to the software, and we can pretty much print that out and still, hand it to someone or email it to someone. I mean, this thing has a lot of bells and whistles that we can take advantage
Good
of.
question, though. So that's good.
The expense would go away, goes away.
Yeah.
So, am I correct in assuming that this is a no-brainer? Do you, does anybody have an objection to this? I mean, from a, being cost-effective, it certainly makes a lot of sense.
I do
We're saving
think-
ourselves $6,000 to $7,000, and we're spending about $3,200.
Right.
I don't have an objection, but I have a question.
Sure.
Your initial amount at the top is $26.95, and it says with website design option. Then, on the bottom, it says one-time startup fees, and the last thing is $500 for website custom design fee. If we have the website design option already included in the initial amount, why do we have to pay $500 for a website custom design fee?
I knew there was a reason why we got an IT guy.
I think it's on the bottom of the first page, right? If we use something they've already got made,
Yeah.
the 500 is if we make our own.
Right.
That's the way I interpreted it. Step 6 in site design options.
But it says website design option. That to me means that you're gonna get the option to design your own website.
There is an option to design it yourself, or they have a template that they can go with.
And that's $500?
Yeah.
Who, you got a contact for us?
Yeah.
You're an IT guy, right? Want to call?
Yeah, if he wants to,
Yeah, why don't you talk to Dennis about it, and you two guys get together, and then if you want, Dennis is not a computer guy, so if you want to talk to these guys to whittle this thing down a little bit, too.
Yeah, it's just one guy. He's a pretty cool guy. So I'll.
Yeah, you can do that.
My one concern is that I think we really do need hard copies for people who
That's the only
Not
access
necessarily
they have.
online.
Yeah,
The $31.95 on the back page with the summary part, my rec software costs $31.95. Is that annual every year?
That's annual, yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
Plus the 200 other yearly fees. So it's gonna be $3,400 a year. And then you just have the one time for this year of 17, so you're looking at 5,100 for this year, and then after that, 3,400 a year.
Right, it's roughly about 3,400 a year, yeah.
Right.
Okay, but you got 5,100 for this year, and then plus the bank fee for online payments?
Well, we can pass that through to people
Okay.
that, by structuring, you know, if you wanna pay online, there'll be a $2 transaction fee or something like that, so to cover the bank cost for people that wanna use charge cards.
Worst case scenario, though, we're looking at 5,750 compared to 7,000. It still
I
makes
think,
sense.
I think it's a good idea to go with this, but I think we're gonna push a lot closer to the 6,000, because I agree with Maureen that we should probably do some, figure out a way so that we don't duplicate the email, but continue to do mailing. I think our society in general is moving too quickly to anticipate that everybody has computers and everybody
They
reads their
don't.
email all the time.
Worst case scenario,
Oh.
we are equal or less than what we're paying now.
Right.
And then the second year and thereafter, we're saving roughly 20%.
Right.
Maybe more than that, 25%.
When you say, are we adding this to the operation portion of our budget that gets submitted to the town hall, to the town for approval? So instead of having a $91,000 operating budget, it's gonna be 97? Or are you saying we're taking this out of a program account,
This will come out of the program account.
year in and year out?
Right. Just like the brochure comes out of the program account, this will come out the,
I think we need to wait to present that to the Board of Finance, because I think this is a legitimate expense that, you know, you can, if you've got a man that hates sausage, you can cut sausages up into tiny pieces and feed it to him with peppermint, and he'll eat the whole damn sausage, and that's what's being done to us. He is coming back to us saying, if you want to take it out of your program account, increase your revenue in your program account, decrease your other expenses, lay kids off so that you can do this and this, and it doesn't affect the town budget. I think that before we go ahead and say, yes, we're gonna start using program money, so we're forced to increase fees or reduce expenses, so that the town saves on the other end, and the selectman's office comes out, in essence, smelling like a rose, because they haven't increased our budget at all. I think maybe before we finally approve this, if this commission agrees, give me a chance to present it to the Board of Finance and see how they feel about it. Because I would rather see our operating account increased by $4,000 or $3,000 for this legitimate expense that the whole town benefits in, than start, you know, everybody complains that the sales tax just went from 6% to 6.35. Well, just charge us an income tax. Well, that's what we're doing to our townspeople by increasing these fees, increasing those fees. We don't increase the property tax, but everybody gets whacked to pay more money because they gotta pay more fees for other things.
I don't have an issue going to the Board of Finance, and I'm not prophetic, but my guess is they'll say, yeah, we'll put it in there, knock something out. But I don't have an issue going to do that. But either way, you need this to get going.
that would be a good idea. If we could.
Because we had camp coming up,
Right.
and this really is an advantage for the townspeople. You know, be able to do it online instead of running up to Brody and signing up. And, it really is an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it can do so many things. If we cancel a class because of the weather, automatically, boom, send out email blast to everybody, and you know, hey, class is canceled. And also, if a class is full, it'll let you know it's full, and you can just go online and look. If something opens up, jump right in there. So I mean, this thing is something we really need.
When's,
So we go ahead with it without knowing where the nickel's coming from?
we probably should move forward, but still go to the next, Board of Finance meeting and bring it up.
I was gonna bring it up later in the meeting, and I guess we can round it out later on, but yes, I've already asked for a spot on the next Board of Finance agenda, which is next Thursday. For
Okay.
other things, but I can throw this in there too, if the commission.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but when's the next brochure going out, when do you
By
start?
the end of the month, we should be ready at the end of the month.
But we already have that going out, right?
Yeah, it's already in the works.
Sorry,
so,
it works, okay.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't have any savings until the September,
right.
October brochure, whatever, okay.
And it'll take a little time to get trained on, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to use it for,
This summer?
signups.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's gonna start May, when do we start that?
April.
Which
Well,
means you
you
gotta
know,
get,
April people.
you gotta get going right away.
And see, what we're doing now is, you know, somebody signs up, they bring it to us, then we sit down, type it up again. So it's taking us 20 minutes to do a registration, where if they were to do it online, send it right to us, already there.
Okay.
So we're saving tons of time.
Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead after a little further research that Paul does into exactly what we're getting, that we allocate up to $5,200 for this, for the 2011-12 fiscal year out of the project, out of the program, thank you, fund. And at the same time, I will push the Board of Finance to recognize that this is a normal operating expense that in the future should come out of operations.
All in favor?
Yep.
Second? Good to go, Dan, make the call. Congratulations, you're now in the 21st century.
Next, we have a memo that some of the guys talked about. Every year we have some events that happen every year. New Hartford Day, Lions Club, and a couple other events. And we ran into an opportunity the other day, last week, where someone had thought that they were already, you know, it was etched in stone that Berkshire Hall was booked for them. It turned out not to be a real problem because we were able to straighten it out. But here's a memo that we want to send out to all the groups that use Berkshire Hall, just to make sure we don't run into any double bookings or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Anybody object?
I was gonna say, are they gonna be able to use the software to do things like this?
For the bookings at the hall, they can probably, yep, we can put something online where they can see that it's booked. So they can go online and look, oh, that date is taken, and, you know, we may not put the actual event in there, but we can say it's booked. And if someone, you know, dials it up and look at it, and they want that date, like I said, they can see that it's booked.
This will help. You know, the problem now is, you know, you're supposed to call the recreation department in order to, you know, book. You're supposed to call the recreation department for, you know, what the activities are, et cetera. On occasion, some people may call town hall. Town hall doesn't know about it, and it causes confusion, and that's what happened the last time around. But it all got straightened out. And there was no double booking, by the way. So Dennis did have everything under control. Okay.
And the last thing I have is, of course, we're keeping up with the water meter readings here.
What am I looking at?
It's just a water meter reading, you know, we still try, I think we said we're gonna try to go away from it.
Large trickle.
Okay, so the middle of the summer, we had 64,500 gallons, in the middle of the winter, we have 240,000 gallons?
Right.
Other than that.
But you gotta look at the previous week and do it.
No, it's the difference between
Do
the
the
two
gazette.
jobs.
It's week by week,
You use
it
9,000.
goes week to week.
Use
The
nine-
bottom line is the bottom line.
You use 9,000 gallons. So
Oh, okay,
Two
okay.
238 and 239.
Alright, okay.
And the last one you used
No, I get
1,000.
it. It's cumulative is what you're telling me. Sorry, I'm a little slow. I'm in the insurance business.
Yeah.
It's like crates.
Okay. Alright. Where are we at in all this thing? We're just.
I was just gonna ask. Do we have to go through another
Yeah,
season of use before?
Well, I thought last month, what we said we were gonna do, we were gonna,
Well, the last, what's on the table right now, and the Board of Finance, the selectmen told the Board of Finance, is that it would make, if in fact it's a $100,000 system, as the selectman says, and that's an estimate by the selectmen, it would probably make more sense to discontinue use of water in those two cabins and use the Brody, because the Brody house is gonna be empty in June of 13. April of 13. So move the nursing station over there and whatever other stuff you need to use water for, because that's already on the system and you don't even have to worry about putting new systems in or anything. You just shut off the water in the other two cabins and you save $100 grand.
Having the nurses station up there? No.
we're talking about the Brody house.
Oh, the Brody house.
The Brody
Oh,
house,
oh,
yeah.
So I keep-
And there are whatever other stuff
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
need
yeah.
to use water for.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then those two cabins can be used for the Elks Club or whatever. But it would save the town a lot of money and then you're
Temporarily.
tearing it down.
It says it's temporarily,
Right.
because now it takes the wrecking ball option for the Brody house off the table.
Right.
So
So what we've
it's a
asked,
little bit of give and take there.
yeah, and what we've asked the selectmen to do is to allocate some money to do a study as to how much it will cost to make the Brody house accessible and usable. It might be a lot less than everything else, and then just leave it there.
Which we will get to because it's on the
Yeah.
project list for the Board of Finance capital expenditure from what I'm reading, so. There's not a lot there, but it's, Brody House study, 5K, it gets us going a little bit. Okay. Yep. All right, how we, camp, we all said, when are we starting on,
We're gonna start in June this year. We're running 9 weeks. We're gonna start June 25th. I think school's we didn't have any snow days this year, so school will get out on time. And, you know, just like every year, you know, it's always a crunch to,
Yep.
you know, see how many kids we're gonna hire with the amount of money that we have.
okay. You have 9 weeks?
9 weeks. We're gonna go all the way to the 3rd week of August.
Well, hopefully we get them on here like we did last year. But, you know, we are gonna obviously seriously review, you know, the number of hires that we're gonna have. And as always, we'll do the best we can to hire as many as we can, but still make ends meet. Okay. Maintenance in the area, we have anything going on as far as trees, any immediate care for any of the buildings that needs to be taken care of?
Well, no, there's some trees that need to be taken down, and Dan, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He's gonna come up at some point. We're gonna tag some trees that look pretty dead or whatever, and try to get rid of some of those trees up at Brody. And just to give you a snapshot, just to backtrack a little bit on camp, when we started the CIT program, 8-9 years ago, we were getting like 10, 12 CITs, and now we're getting like 50. And we used to tell the CITs that, hey, when you go through the CIT program, you can probably get a job, put you in line to get a job up at Brody. But now that we have 50, CITs, people, applying, it's a little shaky. And people are calling and say, hey, my kid's CIT for 2 years, can you get a job? But with 50 CITs, it's hard to get some kids in there when you still have 30 counselors or what have you. So it's a get in line and wait for a minute type of thing.
But there was an interesting thing on TV last week about Kohl's department store. They offer some fantastic scholarships for kids that volunteer for communities. I mean, we're talking like $10,000 college scholarships if they volunteer. So, you might want to investigate that and bring it up to some of these kids who look for a job. Hey, $10,000 scholarship is a lot of money.
It has been a challenge in the past to try to give as many kids jobs as we can. And again, Dennis does a great job at it, and we'll do the best we can. I mean, what's happened in the past is got a little creative. If there were 9 weeks, we asked kids to take 2 weeks off so that we can fill a spot with other kids, at least get them some time. But it's become a very popular summer job for kids coming through. It really has. And Dennis gets just an ungodly amount of. 10 years ago, if you got 15 kids applying, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're just getting tons of them. But that lends to the popularity of the program too.
We probably get about 90 plus people applying. And that's not just kids, adults.
Yeah. But it's a testament to the program itself and how well Dennis has run it and built it over the years that it's become something for parents who want to have their kids involved in, either as a camper or as a CIT or as a counselor. So, okay, I have a few things. Anybody else have anything they want to jump in with? I have a couple of items I want to discuss. First of all, the capital expenditure list, which was submitted. I think a draft was submitted recently to the Board of Finance. Were you at that?
Yes, I've been to every Board of Finance meeting since September.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I find out more about what we're doing by going to Board of Finance meetings than coming here.
That's kind of what I'm bringing up. On this list, under recreation, it lists $35,000. And under it is Callahan Park improvements, $5,000, trail upgrades, $5,000, Berkshire Hall paint, Brody House study, $5,000, and Field House, $20,000. Dan Eddy and I met with Dan Jerem about a week before the last meeting, probably, along with Christine, who was in attendance, and Dan did bring this up, and we discussed other things. He was obviously surprised about the Brody House, that we suggested that we keep it and make use of it, and bypass the septic fields down by the cabins in exchange for that. We thought it was a good idea, so we're going to move forward to see what it's going to take, as Dan mentioned, to renovate that building and keep it. But we could not have objected more to the field house. I mean, it was plain as could be that we objected to any more money going into the field house. We just put, the Recreation Department did not do this because we did not approve it. The town put $50,000, which fell under recreation, believe it or not, $50,000 into the roof, etc., and it's been put in for another $20,000, which we object to. We're not convinced that, and you guys can speak for yourselves, but this is something that we've discussed many times over the last several months. We're not convinced that putting $20,000 more into it is going to do us any good. The building inspector's been up there, the fire marshal's been up there, and they've said, unless you do a full-blown renovation on this place, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but unless you do a significant amount of work, you're not going to be able to put more than 20 people in there. You know, you gotta put septic in, you gotta put all kinds of electrical in, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And we've had people in here over the years tell us, if you wanna do it, it's gonna cost you $250,000 to $500,000, which is a lot of money, obviously, and money that the town doesn't have. And we suggested to Dan that if we're gonna move forward, if he's gonna move forward with this, that it's gonna be, you know, for a couple of reasons. One, if the town wants to use it as cold storage, it's up to them. If he wants to use it as part of the town crew to put stuff in there, that's up to them. If they want to do that, that's fine. But as far as we're concerned, he thinks it can be used within a year for basketball use. And we don't think so. And unless you do a lot of work in there, and it may not even be big enough to do that.
I did a little,
And I don't think the building inspector and fire marshal is going to allow it to begin with. I don't know that because we haven't had a study done. So we object to the 20,000, one going toward the field house. If he wants to do it, it's all, but it should not fall under the recreation part of the budget. Just should not.
I did a little research on the basketball issue, and the longest part of the main building is, without the wings, is 82 feet long. A junior high basketball court and below is 74 feet long. So that means you've got an extra 8 feet divided by 2. So you have 4 feet at the end of each baseline before a kid runs into the wall. The building is 52 feet wide. That same basketball court is 50 feet wide. So that means you have 1 foot on each sideline before the kid runs into the wall. The wings part of it, now that they put the new roof on and put trusses in there, is only 12 feet high to the ceiling. A basketball hoop is 10 feet high. So you've got 2 feet between the top of the rim and the eaves. You can't even fit backboard in there. So I think that, in support of what John said about a basketball court, I mean, someone needs to define the use of that building and then find out how much it's going to cost to do it. I also went online, and a metal building, 100 by 100, which would be large enough to put 2 junior high basketball courts like this and a high school basketball court, which is 84 feet long and 55 feet wide, across the top of them, is $65,000. The concrete for 4-foot footings, 2 feet above grade, which would give you 16-foot rafters, and the floor would be about $45,000. I sat down with a builder and calculated that out. So for roughly $110,000, you could have a 100 by 100 foot building that didn't need to be sided. Well, you'd have the expense of putting it up, because I know you got to pay somebody to put up a metal building.
Be like
But
130.
You
I
also
think this
have
building-
excavation too.
I think that this building needs to be researched a lot more before anybody puts a dime in it.
It's again, we've made our we've made our opinions known. As Stan says, until we really know what it's going to cost and what it's going to be used for, we just object to putting more money into it. And if town hall or First Selectman's office wants to put money into it, it should not be under recreation. We've been told in the past that if there's money in the budget, and the money that's in the budget is used for property that's controlled by recreation, it falls under recreation. And that, I don't understand that, but we have no control over it. We have no control over that money. This can flow into your Board of Finance.
Yeah, I'd like, I'm finding the Board of Finance and the Selectmen are much, much more proper than we seem to be. In terms of doing
Not a
things
negative.
according to Hoya. So I have reserved time, if this board wants me to speak, at the next Board of Finance meeting, on their agenda. And I would like to address this issue, because I think that perhaps not only this Selectmen's administration, but prior ones have not really been presenting our position to the Board of Finance. I think they're hearing what the Board of Selectmen want to tell them and not what we're telling the Board of Selectmen. So I'd like through a motion to represent us at the next Board of Selectmen meeting with respect to the septic, the adjustment for the Brody House and the septic system, the field house, and the Selectmen's office has decided that they can convert Antolini into a flat level playing surface for $25,000. And when we looked into that, it was gonna be over 250. So I would like to just brief the Board of Finance on our need for, and it's not tomorrow because we know the money's not available, but to let the Board of Finance know that we have been aggressively looking for outdoor field space, and we feel that ultimately it's probably gonna be in the neighborhood of $200,000 to accomplish that. I think those are three big issues that perhaps the selectmen's offices have not really relayed our feelings to the Board of Finance.
And if a field can be built up at Antolini for 25,000, great. You know, we're all in favor of it, and we supported it. But a field study, a field study is going to cost at least $10,000.
Well, it costs us $14,000 to do the basketball court, right?
Right. You know, so I'm just not sure how that's going to get done for 25,000. But if it can be, geez, that's great. So, you know, for what that's worth. But anybody, if somebody want to make a motion that Dan be appointed as our liaison to speak on behalf of the Recreation Commission at the Board of Finance meeting to make sure that they understand our viewpoint.
In all of those areas. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Thanks for the work you've done.
So is that 20 on the field house a done deal?
No, none of this is a done deal. It's
No.
part of the capital budget that's being presented, but I don't think the Board of Finance has gotten the whole picture. They've just gotten,
No, and that's the same way that the Antolini thing is gonna go. It's 25 here, it's 50 there, then it's another 50, just like
right,
the reason we didn't wanna put another $1,000 into the field house was because we know where it was gonna go.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
giant shed.
right, just right down the
Right.
middle.
You know, and again, we've made town all aware. If you want to use it as cold storage, go ahead. But it should not fall under recreation. It's not what we suggested, and we objected to it, and it's not.
And it's not usable for recreation.
Minimally,
Right.
Right.
you know.
I mean, it would probably be turned into another Berkshire Hall, because it just doesn't have the dimensions
Right.
to be used as another facility.
I'm curious, John, did they give you an idea of what they proposed this $20,000 was to be spent on? I mean, is there
Yeah,
a
it's
plan?
from what I understand, it's basically to clean it out. I mean, that's kind of what.
There's apparently
I
a
understand.
stage
Rip out the stage.
in there that has asbestos shingles or tiles in it. So it's gonna cost a ton of money to remove the asbestos properly, and that's what the 20 is being designated for.
Right. It's mostly clean out. Well, if you remember, about 4 or 5 years ago, it was about to fall down.
We should have let. Hindsight,
And just the-
2020.
And just to fill the board in, because I've been going to all the selectmen meetings and all the finance meetings since October, and as I said, I tend to find out more about what we're doing in those two meetings. But he's also talked to engineers about taking the turnbuckles out and putting up, what do you call those
Truss
walls?
Huge.
Buttress walls to hold the sides in, instead of the turnbuckles to hold the sides in. So that's how he's going to stabilize the building, is through buttresses, which is a really expensive way, and it's not all that effective from what I understand.
Now, I was instrumental in getting those turnbuckles installed. The person who installed them said that he didn't need to put them up.
Yeah,
It was a waste of money. He said we could have put half-inch steel plates where the support.
Yeah.
Put a steel plate at both sides, bolted through. That building, he said, I've done buildings built in the 1800s that were a lot worse than this, and they're still standing today.
Yeah.
So it's your fault.
Hey, I did it when I was told. Now, when it comes to the Brody House, how about the possibility of contacting the trade school, Oliver Wilkin, and for a project
To do the work, yeah.
to do the work?
Yeah, we need to find out what it's gonna take to bring it up to standard, ADA, et cetera. The few comments have made, obviously recreation can use it for programs, if the seniors wanna use it for small group meetings, this is being explored. But again, we're gonna do a study on it, and we suggest that the study be done on the field house too, instead of just throwing $20,000 into it.
Yeah,
So, okay,
great.
you all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Brody South, if you guys don't mind. This has been discussed on and off for the last year. And obviously everybody has an opinion on it. It is a park. It'll always be a park. It's going to be used as a park. It's going to be used by all the residents of the town, whether it be youth sports or whether it be just for passive recreation, certainly for active recreation. And there's been a significant amount of discussion over the last year, especially since August time period on through to now, as far as the rules and regulations are concerned about the park. It's been Recreation's position. You guys feel free to correct me if you wish. That the park rules are that it opens at sunrise and it closes at sunset. It's kind of that simple. There's been lights being used up there toward the end of 2010, certainly during 2011. We had let it be known that these are the rules of the park: sunrise to sunset. Basically, the park continued to be used. The rules and regulations were not enforced. We are not an enforcing body, so all we can do is just suggest that they be enforced, and for whatever reason they've not been. We have had discussions with the groups involved trying to resolve this. It doesn't appear that there's anything on the horizon. It's my impression and it's my opinion that we put this thing to bed. We do have the rules and regulations in front of us. We did have this situation with the boaters, albeit a lot of it was liability, understood, but some of it was sunrise to sunset. The skateboarders at one time or another informally had come to us and said, hey, do you mind if we put lights up and the kids can do at night? Sunrise to sunset. Basketball. We had kids playing up there at night. They'd pull their cars up with lights, just like other groups have done. And we said, no, you can't do that. We enforced it with the police. We put up barricades up there so that they couldn't get cars up there. We put an end to the excessive noise with radios, etc., stereos. So that was enforced. Unfortunately, this situation, continued throughout the fall, and we tried to remedy it by bringing it to another location. That doesn't seem to have worked. Antolini, if that goes through, will take another year or two. I think what we need to do as a commission, I think we need to either as a group agree to reaffirm these rules or not. I think we need to decide whether we're going to follow them or not. It's become an issue. It's my opinion that we follow the rules. That other groups have asked to use it after dark. We've said no. We've had this situation, with youth football as well. We've said no, and it continued to be used. It's, unless somebody does something different, And unless these are not the official rules of Brody Park, which includes Brody Park South, my suggestion is we live by these rules, which means it's sunrise to sunset. It makes it that simple. As far as the Recreation Commission is concerned, if we all agree to that, it is now on the table and it is now off the table. It's not our issue. We agree that it's sunrise to sunset. If somebody does something differently, that's beyond our control. There's not much we can do, but as far as we are concerned, we have the authority over the rules and regulations of the park. So I'll throw it out on the table for discussion.
I think that's a
My
good
thought.
idea, John. We're opening ourselves up for a lawsuit. You know, we allow one to do it and not the other one, boom, it's gonna be trouble.
There's been no petition for exception with this and none granted?
But I'm aware of.
Then it doesn't seem like there's. an
Nobody has
issue.
come to us. Nobody's come to us. You know, we were told that planning and zoning was gonna look at it, then we were told planning and zoning's not gonna look at it. I have no idea. So, again, my point is, let's just simplify this thing. You know, instead of everybody going back and forth, here and there, these are the rules. And why not follow them? They've been followed since
1987.
June 11th of 1987. And I dare say, I don't know that anybody has a real specific reason to change these. You know, the Browns Corner closed at sunset. Basically, as soon as it's dark, everybody's out of there. All the other parks, same way. Anybody else have any other thoughts on this?
I think it's something we have to do. I don't like it. You know, I don't like how we've gotten more and more rules, regulations, even though this was 87, you know. When I first came to town, there was a hell of a lot more freedom. But I think we have.
I put together some wording for a motion. So I'd like to make a motion to reaffirm the Brody Park regulations revised June 11, 1987, attach that to the minutes, and extend them to all areas managed, maintained, operated, or administered to including but not limited to Browns Corner, Chapin Park, and Callahan Park. So we have the same rules for all the parks, and these seem to be as good as we want.
Any other input on this? Anybody disagree? Any comments, concerns, questions? You know, we're all in favor of youth sports, guys. I mean, I don't think there's anybody at this table that's not. I mean, I coached it for 14, 15 years. You did. You know, so many of us were involved in this. You did. So many of us were involved in this. And this is nothing against any group in town. It's you know, we've said no to other groups. And again, this is not poking at one specific group. It's just, it's the rules of the park itself, no matter where it is. So, want to read it again and make a motion? Somebody second it?
I make a motion to reaffirm the Brody Park regulations revised June 11, 1987. Attach that to this motion.
I'm gonna throw something
And-
real. I'm sorry. The
and-
Cub Scouts, they do some overnights out in the field. How is that
Yeah.
affected by this?
Well, I think that,
That's with permission now.
yeah, I think that we may need to address that in the future with some exceptions in timing and whatnot, because there may be instances where it would be appropriate.
Usually
But-
it's
And Berkshire Hall is used, well, Berkshire Hall is used because it is a building.
Right.
And, you know, and the insurance allows it, because it's made to be used at night.
Well, number 13, unauthorized overnight camping is prohibited. Unauthorized, but if you authorize
Authorize it, yeah,
it, that's covered.
it's covered.
I mean, it's a 1 or 2 times a year,
Dan, you're gonna give me a
so,
copy of that.
you know, we're not talking about,
It's,
You're gonna give me a
the truth be
copy
known,
of
it's a
it,
little
right?
more often than that because of the Boy
Yeah,
Scouts.
Yeah,
And we had that brought up when the.
Yeah, that was brought up.
When the yacht club was here, so, I thought we successfully defended that. My only comment is, we went to the trouble of having our resident trooper here when we were dealing with the people that wanted to use the boating area at night. I agree, we're not an enforcement body. Whoever is the enforcement body needs to get behind, to back us on this, and if need be, get the police involved. That's what it took to curb the noise and the nighttime playing at the basketball court.
Right.
And it will take care of the same thing at Brody South.
I agree, I was just gonna say that if we just do this and reaffirm it, that's all well and good. But they're gonna be back next year, and it's gonna start to get dark, and they're gonna pull their cars up, and they're gonna put their lights on, just like they did this year. And if nobody enforces it, or if the people who are being affected by it don't know who's gonna be enforcing it, it's all moot. We have to make it clear who is the enforcing body, and make sure that they're gonna back us up on this, or else it's all just worthless.
You know, as I said, I think it's just important for the Recreation Commission to just make it known that we are in support of these rules and regulations. And then the enforcement, you know, we can't stand there
Yeah.
and make sure people are enforcing it. We need the officials in town to enforce it. So, anybody second it?
so, yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. What else we got going, guys? Anything?
I have a question that's probably backing up a bit, because I have missed the last couple of meetings. Where are we at on finishing and money for Brown's Corner?
Well, the selectmen had allocated $90,000 in the last budget cycle.
I remember that, that was from the last meeting I was at.
Right.
That's a while ago.
They put a fence up. I was down there today. A lot of the fill, it looks like they're making progress to leveling off the grass area. They've begun to close down the old entrance. There's a machine in front of it. And you'd have to get in that old entrance, you'd have to have a four-wheel drive now, and they'd have to move the machine out of the way. So it's pretty much limited to that new. Now, the selectmen have also proposed that, and at least the first selectman has, I don't know that the group has agreed. When that, and I didn't bring the map with me today, when that final plan was approved, there's a large grass area between the parking lot and the second Little League field, and if you're facing that, to the right of the basketball court. And Ed pointed out that that wasn't quite large enough to even have a softball field. The first selectman is, I don't think he's taken it to planning and zoning yet, but he has said that he wants to, the road that accesses the baseball courts around the far left-hand side of that, parallel to Steel Road, he wants to widen that and take up some of the grass area and put more parking in. Now, it's his opinion that there's 174 cars in that new, as it's now currently been approved. He's of the opinion that it needs more parking. We talked to Rick Bernanke, who's down there nearly every weekend, and Rick feels there are 3 or 4 occasions when the parking is insufficient. He said, if anything, the problem is no one helps place cars. So many cars take up 2 spots. Some cars take up 3 spots. So my feeling on it is, if it's only 3 or 4 times, then open up that grass area and park on that grass area for 3 or 4 times, instead of eliminating 20%, because we're short on field space. That's just the plain fact. We're short on field space, and that green space is large enough to accommodate the 2 K1 fields for soccer, if for some reason they needed to be moved off the big field, or warm up for t-ball, or warm up for football, if they need warm up spaces. If you make them gravel, you've permanently eliminated it as playing space. So I think we maybe should recommend that we wait one more season and do a car count and see if just getting Cub Scouts or getting the sport that's down there to find some people to park cars when they first come in may solve the problem. According to Rick, that's the issue. He said that people just park slovenly.
But the 90,000, we've asked on a regular basis, if there's any extra money, which I'm assuming there's going to be extra money, because what has to be done there, I'm not sure it's $90,000. We've asked for that money to stay within recreation toward the other parks in town, whether it be Browns, whether it be Brody, whether it be Callahan, wherever it may be, that it stay with recreation. We've not got a definitive answer on that, because nobody knows how much of the 90,000 is going to be spent. So
I think, according to the plans, the only thing was the fence and the handicap access from the parking lot down to the field, which is basically a switchback boardwalk, needs to be put in.
Okay,
But everything else, according to the plan, seems to be done.
all right, but my only question is with everything that was done over Brown's Corner, why wasn't the drainage in left field of the Babe Ruth field included in the project?
To the best of our knowledge, it was, and youth sports just assumed the responsibility for doing it, as they have in so many cases with the sprinkler system, with the stuff baseball's done, with all the stuff that they've done down there and picked up the tab. They just went ahead and assumed that they should pay for it.
that was a situation where nobody came to the Recreation Commission and said, hey, we want to spend, I don't know how much it was, 14 grand, 15 grand to fix it. If that had been done, we would have said, take it out of 90 grand. But it wasn't done. Nobody came to us, just done. And I'm just going by my understanding of what I hear. I don't know officially, but my understanding was 3 youth sports and the town hall split that money.
That's what I was told.
Split that $14,000 each.
Right.
14 divided by 4. I'm just not sure why youth sports didn't come to us and say this is what we want to do, because it would have taken 3 seconds out of somebody's mouth to say take it out of 90 grand.
Okay.
All right, one last
It's a
thing.
good question, and I don't know the answer.
And it's, I mean, a lot gets lost, and I understand there's currently somewhat of a conflict between us and town hall, but it's like the roof. The roof is supposedly all done, and the software and hardware costs and everything came to the selectman's office, has bantered around the figure of 46,000. They budgeted 50. Anything above and beyond the actual cost was again supposed to be reallocated back to the rec commission to use for capital expenditures. But that hasn't happened. So there's $4,000.
And I know what they had budgeted, but what was the bid?
The bid was 30.
And there was some
The
change
bid and
orders
the-
and whatnot?
The bid and the construction costs, the last figure I heard at any of the former meetings was 42, and there was another 4 in soft costs. So the total price was 46. And they budgeted 50, so there should be 4 grand there that the selectman's office should be telling us we have 4 grand in capital available, which would go a long way to paying for our software.
Yeah.
But there's no communication to that effect. So.
All right, one last thing. Okay, we voted on the dawn to dusk rule up there. So how
we
you guys
we voted on the regulations.
regulations? So how you guys want to move that along as far as letting interested parties know? How you guys want to? Because football, okay, let's say for instance football who's not here tonight. So you guys want me to?
Well, it's in, I mean,
Or
Well, I mean,
email
it's in
something out to
it's
all
in the
members.
minutes, it'll be, you know, on NewHartford Plus, I mean, we're not, all we did was reaffirm the regulations of the park. We didn't tell anybody they couldn't use the park, we didn't tell anybody they couldn't use it till 8:30 on an August night. All we are saying is, the rules are the rules and everybody's gotta live by it, that's it. So.
Okay.
We can discuss how we're gonna do that, but, I think it's kinda simple. Anybody else? Anything on your hit list? No? That's it?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Thanks, guys.
All in favor? Aye.